All right, guys, welcome to the next episode of Share the Journey podcast. I'm your host, Bato, and today's goal that we're going to be chatting about is actor, what it takes to become an actor, and we're going to share the journey of becoming an actor with our guest, Marcos Lucas. Yeah, welcome, man. Welcome.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Appreciate you coming on. So I know we chatted the other day on the phone, right?
Right.
And I was like, I can't remember how we met. You know?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, dude, I don't know how we met. I know we met like years ago, and somehow I was looking back in the messages and we were like texting before, but I was like, I try to think, how did we meet? I do know it was some event, but I can't remember what event it was.
I can tell you exactly what it was. So I was in Atlanta, and
I'm gonna put some pomegranate juice.
Please, absolutely. I was on the Jackie Brown show, and it happened to be being filmed in the same show as you, and she was with another guest, and I was backstage, and which is where your office was at the time. And I saw you and a bunch of cool looking people, and I was like, who are these cats? And I was like, I should probably get to know them. And we just started talking, and here we are, 5 years later?
I think it was like 6 or 7, we said.
Almost, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, and just kept in touch, and I'm back in Atlanta doing an interview with you. Who would have known?
Absolutely. No, appreciate you. And I know you did come by for the podcast, but also primarily you're out here shooting a movie.
Exactly.
These couple of days, so that was also the main reason.
Exactly.
I'm gonna pass this to the camera guy as a request to join. But yeah, so you're here for 5 days.
Yeah, I'll be
got
here.
Got a movie going on, so I like how this kind of perfectly connected. We chatted on Instagram, and you were coming in town perfectly. Like this kind of works out perfect. And so yeah, you said about a couple of days here.
Yeah. So real excited. I used to be a teacher.
Yep.
I was a full-time teacher. I taught Spanish, theater arts, special effects, makeup, and my students kept saying, "You need to get out. You need to get out. You need to go full-time actor." My wallet was like, I don't know about that. So I was just like, what am I going to do? So I randomly got invited to this networking event, and everybody there was like, it was all entertainers, all entertainers. And you know, Nashville, that's where I'm from, by the way. Nashville's full of entertainers, but primarily in music. But there's starting to be a great number of people that are actors, actresses, and models, and everybody's like, I'm an actor, I'm an actress, I'm an actor, I'm an actress. I was like, dang. I was like, there's like 600 of you here. Like, how am I going to stand out? So I started saying, I'm a special effects makeup artist. And once I did that, like 3 days later, I had work.
That's crazy.
And so that's how I did it. That's what got me into the acting scene.
Yeah, it's and that's it, guys. I want to take a couple steps back.
Yeah.
Because I know you the special effects makeup stuff is amazing, man.
Thank you.
I saw your work. I saw the images. Could you shed a little bit of light of how you became so good at that? I feel like that's really cool because it is a part of that journey of like jumping into the whole acting space. But man, like I said, I saw your images and it's really cool. Like there was one that was in the arm. It's like completely looked like a hole in the arm, and everything was just dripping. I mean, how did you get into that?
So,
and we're gonna drop some images here on the video, like one here and maybe like one here.
Sure.
Of how it looks, so the guests know.
Absolutely. So, I started out, actually, believe it or not, with no formal training. I have not had a day of formal training in my life for special effects makeup. It's just that the churches, or the church that I attended at the time, they were big into theater arts, performance, and we had special effects makeup artists. And the first time that I was transformed into a pig, I was amazed. They gave me a pig for production. I could move my snout without using my hands, man. I had ears, and I was just like, I'm a pig. I was like, how is this possible? And then they would do crucifixion scenes. Another church, they would do crucifixion scenes. And so I was like, if you're going to be touching me, like, I want to know, like, what are you doing and how are you doing it? Because I was fascinated. And so, like I said, I was a teacher, so I started practicing on my kindergartners because they weren't going to care if you messed up. they just thought it was cool.
They thought it was cool, yeah, just putting something on them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was just like, let me practice. And it was crazy. I did that, and it was probably, once again, how fast things move. I think I had been doing that for like, I don't know, 3 months, just practicing on them or whatnot. And somebody was like, hey, we need you for a job. I was like, okay.
Dang.
So that's how I got into it. But, you know, practicing with the kids for things that weren't productions, you can kind of see where you mess up, where you don't.
Yep.
And
Trial and error. You had a lot of testing, and because at the end of the day, it's obviously the kindergartner's arms are smaller, but the skin, the texture of the skin is the same. So when you're going on someone that's older too, it's very similar. And you're able to really tap into a lot of experience. So that's pretty dope. And man, it's crazy to think that like that got you into kind of like that first gig that you got into special effects. You were like, there's a ton of actors here, right? Mm-hmm. And how did that? Any transitions after that? Did that kind of like light bulb go off? Like, does this kind of like segue and overlap with this?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, in the world of entertainment, I don't care what genre you're in. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, entertainment is all about networking. Yep. It is 100% about networking. And there's kind of two rules. Number one is you getting to the right person, and then number two is you not getting on the nerves of the right person. People like to work with who they like to hang out with. Yep. And you have to be cognizant of that and really think about that. So I felt like step number one, there was a celebrity that was there and her assistant. And I just put my pictures, started showing them my work, because I've learned, I don't care how famous you are, that does not mean you know how to do everything. And you still need people to make your work look good. And that's exactly what happened. So she was like, please get her. She was like, please get my assistant's number. And she was talking to her assistant, blah, 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 blah. And then they had me on their music video set like 3 days later. So I had to get my foot in the door and start meeting people and kind of figuring out, okay, who do I need to know? And I'm still doing that.
It's something that you're always going to be doing. Like, no matter what level you are when it comes to acting and in that industry, you're always continuously networking.
Always.
Kind of like what you mentioned. I know we had a chat the other day on the phone, and you were like, what you notice is people are always, even at their current gig, they're looking for the next gig.
Exactly.
Like, they're already trying to line things up. And it seems like you always have to have, like, just the mentality of, like, just keep going, keep going, keep going. So it seems like that's a part of the recipe of succeeding in that space, because it is super saturated if you think about it. You know, a lot of people, they'll do modeling and they'll do acting, and that kind of overlaps, and they'll kind of jump between the two. And there's definitely a lot of individuals in that space. But I want to take a couple more steps back, right? Because I know you said you've been acting for a long time, right? Since like a child, it's been like a passion of yours. When was the first time that you wanted, like, you had the light bulb go off of like, I want to become an actor, like I want to do this? It wasn't maybe even that, but just something of like, when it jumped into that, when your mind jumped into that curiosity in that space of like acting. Do you remember what it was? Was it like some specific moment? The
circus. Going to the circus as a kid, it wasn't about acting, it was about performing. And it was, and so at the end of the day, like, I'm here for acting, but at the end of the day, I tell people I'm an entertainer, because in any shape, form, or fashion, I do parties, I do events, I do, of course, the regular acting. I can take any event and turn it into a form of entertainment. So I love entertainment, but as a kid, going to the circus, and I would see the lion tamers, or I would see the acrobats, which I love acrobats. That was what really drew my attention first. And then I remember some church members randomly said, we got tickets to a show, and I asked my mom, can we take him with us and our son? And we were living in Memphis at the time, and I went and I saw this show, and I saw all these lights, and then our school would take field trips. So it's like I had a lot of exposure to just entertainment as a kid, and that's what I wanted. I couldn't say I want to be an actor. If you ask me, I just want to entertain.
Wow. And then it kind of just jumped into everything else. So in that moment, as a young child, right, the curiosity starts to build. It's like, And you also, as a kid, you have a lot of like confidence, typically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you feel like you can do anything. When was like the first time after that? Like, what was the next step that you actually started taking like into in the entertainment side? Do you remember? Like, what was that?
So I put my cousins and my siblings through hell because none of them that were in my age group wanted to be in entertainment. So what I would start doing was I wrote productions, I wrote shows. I was like 7, 8 years old. And I would have everybody assign parts, and we put on plays for the family. We put on plays and shows for my grandmother's church. When I would go visit Alabama, I just started doing all this stuff. If I went to camp and they said, we need your team to do a skit, guess who's going to write the skit? You know, it was me. I was going to write the skit. I just went into full performance mode. And we had a swing set in the backyard. And part of the swing set even mimicked what I would see at the circus. So I started learning tricks on the swing set.
Dang.
I got to the 6th grade and we would go out to the playground. I would try my acrobatic stunts.
Yep.
I would succeed. Other kids tried it. One kid got knocked out. Another kid broke a collarbone. Another kid broke his arm. The teacher was like, Marcus, you're great at what you do. Could you please stop doing this because all the kids are trying to do it, she said, and they are about to die. You know?
You were indirectly breaking everything one by one. Oh, man. That's pretty cool. And what was the first like gig that you got, like official gig that you felt like, oh wow, like this feels real?
I tell you what felt real, and it's so funny now because looking back on it, it was like it was not a big deal, but to me it felt big. Yeah. I got chosen to play a couple different things. It was 6th grade. I got chosen to play Frosty the Snowman. 5th grade. And I was in the chorus, and we were selected to go sing.
I'm trying to think about this. Imagine it.
We were selected to be one of the groups to go sing at the Opryland Hotel in Nashville. If you know anything about the Opryland Hotel,
I don't.
It is a city within walls. Like there's waterfalls, there's a river, there's a boat to take through, there's fountains, there are bridges. It's crazy. And we were going to be on this little staged area where the harp band played. And I remember the harp man, they had a man that would play the harp every year at Christmas time. And we were going to be on that stage in this big atrium where all these people walked through. I was just like, okay, Marcus, we have arrived. And then they took us over to the Roy Acuff Theater, which is right beside it. It's a very, very famous theater for country music artists. And we got to sing on that stage. And we went backstage and I got to see the lights, and all I wanted as a kid was to be on stage and to have the colored lights on me, the red and the blue and stuff. And I was like, I have arrived. And I'm in a Frosty costume. Nobody even knows it's me. But I felt like I had arrived. And then the following year, via school and chorus, they had a country music writing competition. And I won and got to sing at the Country Music Hall of Fame. So with Ratney Foster, who wrote the music to the lyrics that I wrote. So once again, I thought, I've arrived. You know?
Yeah. No, that's interesting. It's funny we were talking about Nashville and Tennessee. I definitely got to go there and visit. It seems like there's a lot of cool stuff.
Please do.
And it's right. It's nearby. It's a few hours of a drive, so definitely got to make it happen. And we hit you up when I'm over there too. So definitely got to do it. And how many movies in total have you been a part of this far? I don't know if you can count or anything.
Yeah. So this, long story short, I was literally doing my day job. I took on a job to have more flexibility so that I could pursue the arts.
Yep.
But I wasn't getting anything.
Yep.
And I was in the only spot in this town, I would say, that even had reception.
Yep.
And I got a message on my Instagram saying we need a special effects makeup artist and we need them tonight.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that it was a feature film. I thought it was just one of those, I'm a college student, blah, 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 whatever. And showed up and I was like, who are all these people? And did you say you came from California? You came from Florida? Who are you again? And I was like, excuse me, ma'am, is this a real movie? She was like, yeah. I was like, oh crap, I'm here. I was like, but I'm here for makeup. I want to be an actor. What do I do?
Yeah.
So that was movie number 1. That was Trap City. We're still waiting on that to come out.
Yep.
And now this will be 6 movies later.
Yep.
Yeah. That I've done. This movie now will be movie number 6.
Okay.
And I can't even tell you how many music videos because it's Nashville.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this will be movie number 6. So it's cool. What I thought was a slow route for other people who are in the industry, they're like, dang, like that's fast. Like you went from 0 to 100 pretty fast. And I still feel like it's the slow route, but other people may say,
No, definitely. And you know what's interesting? We kind of talked about this on the phone a few days ago. Is I feel like a lot of people, when it comes to like the acting space, they feel like, it's someone that like, oh, if I'm gonna get into acting, like I'm immediately gonna get this huge role that I'm gonna take up I'm gonna have a lot of lines, a lot of airtime. I'm gonna be the main character. But in reality, it doesn't really work like that, right? Sometimes you might start off and be one of the 2,000 people in the crowd, like that's in the mall, while the main actors are walking by. And I feel like there's like a nice beauty behind that, because you get to see yourself for a split second, and then you realize, I can do more. Like I have more. I watch the main actors. I saw them walk by. They're getting all the camera time, which is fine because there's a time for everything, right? That was their time to shine. And you got your 1 second, then you move up 2 seconds. How is it for you also? I assume, starting off, it's probably like very small, right? Maybe something behind the scenes. Then it's like you get a second on camera. Then you get like your first word. Like, what were the stages for you?
Yeah, the first time was just seeing yourself, on camera, seeing yourself, especially in a theater, 20 feet tall. Seeing yourself 20 feet tall, and that was huge, just to see yourself. But what's crazy is, even in the first movie, though I had no speaking roles, I made it to the trailer. So that was kind of crazy to just see yourself even in a trailer. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then by movie number 3, to be in the trailer with a speaking role, but your role in the movie was not even that long.
Yeah.
But you made it in the trailer.
How was the transition from no speaking role to your first speaking role? Because I feel like that's when it becomes a little real, right?
Yeah.
That's when it's like, I'm like contributing, not just by like physically just being there, but it's like my voice, my words. Like that's a whole another level, I assume, right?
Oh yeah, like everything you.
What was your first line ever? Do you remember what it was? Like first few words.
I was telling the class to sit down and to be quiet. I was telling them to sit down and be quiet. Yeah. And I remember I played a teacher, and when I looked at the script, I was like, this ain't how it goes. This is not how it works. So I followed the script.
Because you were a teacher before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the fact that like
exactly.
You get on this like stage to perform and you're like, hold up, like I got real life experience.
Right. And then on top of that, I was working and we filmed at the school where I used to be a teacher.
No way.
Yeah. So I'm in the school where I used to be a teacher. I know how these kids act. Like this is not how this goes. And so I read it and I did the script the way that it's supposed to be, the way it actually is. And they were like, there was no question. I don't think they considered anybody else. It was immediately, you got the role. Wow. Like immediately, like obviously you know what you're doing. And so yeah, but it's still though, it was like I woke up that day.
Marcus, I gotta like pause you for a second.
Yeah.
So hold up. You had a role as a teacher on a movie in the same school that you used to actually be a teacher at as your job.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the irony behind that
that's pretty dope.
The irony behind it is it was a very, very, very stressful place to work. Like extremely stressful, high stress. And I used to just be sitting there sometimes like, why am I here? Why am I not out acting? But I knew that I was supposed to be there. I knew that was my purpose to be there. that it was beyond just being a teacher. It was to help kids, you know.
Yeah.
And I still have very good relationships with a lot of those students, but at the same time though too, you're helping them fulfill their dreams and you have dreams.
Yep.
And it's just like, I want to be in the movies. So to come back to the same place, like that was crazy.
That is crazy. Man, that's super inspirational. Like the fact that you're physically in the same location, but you're doing something, like you're in a completely different position.
Mm-hmm.
And that gap in space between those two realities, because they were both realities at a time,
mm-hmm.
is just beautiful. Like, because it wasn't just you jump from here to here, you went through all these steps, this journey within a journey to get to that side. And I think, like, what a coincidence, you know? It's like, that's just beautiful, man. The fact that, like, I'm sorry, man, I gotta repeat it again, but, like, you literally were the teacher at a school. That was your job. And then eventually you had a gig. You're an actor in a movie in a role playing a teacher in the same school.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Was this One More Dream?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? We're going to drop a quick clip right here.
So today we're going to do a little writing assignment. The topic is fear.
That's pretty cool, man. It's just like, I know you're being kind of humble about it, but I think that's man, continue. I'll let you grab it like that, but I just had to kind of clarify. I was like, because we never spoke about that, and that's amazing.
Yeah. I feel like in that day, I remember waking up in the morning and I was like, why am I so nervous? Because I had been doing live productions for years.
Yep.
And I performed in literally, I don't mean thousands of people over time, which that's true.
Yep.
But sometimes in front of crowds, like 10,000 people. I think the largest was 18,000. Like tons of people.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I'm in this little room in a school, an environment that I'm accustomed to. And I'm like, why am I nervous? Like, why am I nervous? And I was like, it's showtime. I think sometimes you're nervous because when you perform live, you know that the people are there. You get the reactions right away. If it's funny, but when you just have a camera, you don't know if the comedy is coming across right, if people are going to take it the way that it was supposed to be done, if the editor is going to do it correctly.
I hear that from comedians a lot.
Yes.
Well, they're like, no matter who it is, you could be the top, you could be Dave Chappelle, it doesn't matter, you could be at the highest level, lowest level, it doesn't even matter where you're at in your journey. And they all practice. They go to small little comedy studios with the X amount of guests just to test out the joke, to see the reactions and kind of work their way up.
I was just at one Tuesday in Nashville.
Yeah? How was it?
It was cool. It was cool.
I've never been to one.
I wasn't on the show. I was just went to go. I was like, I was like, this is not my job.
Now you're about to be like, I used to work at this comedy show. I was about to just cut the whole thing off. All right, this guy's speaking everything into reality.
Yeah. I just went and go watch some other people who wanted to do the exact same thing.
Man, I wanted to go to I've never been to a comedy show. I love comedy. I feel like comedy has so many layers to it. Like, at the end of the day, people think like, oh, it's just for laughs and jokes, but there's so much you have to structure behind it in the thought processes and just how you come up with those jokes and what you want the listener to actually get from it outside of the joke itself. And
knowing your audience.
It's almost storytelling, as well.
Yeah.
Like they're telling a story throughout the whole thing. But
yeah, knowing the culture, your audience, there's so much behind it.
Definitely. So, going back to, acting part of things, you've been a part of 6-7 movies. And what is one thing that sticks out to you the most that you feel like one has to attain to succeed in this space outside of like networking? Like, what was something that you look back and like, this helped me succeed? Like, this is a huge part of like what helped me succeed
so
in the acting space.
I would say this. Growing up, you're always, taught, go to college, get a job, blah, 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 blah. And then you get out there in the real world and you find that a job stands for just over broke. Because it's just like, I got all these bills. I thought I was supposed to get this degree. Because I had this piece of paper, I got to get all this money. So what I learned that has helped me the most in the industry of acting or entertainment period wasn't what I learned on set. It was what I learned right before I started doing it.
Yeah.
Because there are so many entertainers in Nashville, there are people that have the appearance of being wealthy, and there are people who actually are.
That's real.
And that is the difference. And you will look wealthy long before you ever actually are. Unless you get in the mindset of business, knowing that you are a business, you are the CEO of your business, you are, and you have to treat your life like you own a business. So many people are like, I want to be an entertainer, and they don't realize that the businesses are looking at you as a product to make money for them. And you have to know your worth, your values, and you have to know that I've got to make money for my family. I have to think outside of this. I have a life shelf, you know.
That's real.
You go from being the person that's got the great body to now you're no longer the person with the great body anymore. You know,
someone younger jumped into that role and it's just better fit.
Yeah, so you got to make sure that you are thinking outside of the box and not just thinking on the here and the now and thinking that this is going to last forever. So I learned that from, you know that I used to be in network marketing.
Yeah.
And just the mentors that I had, they always taught me multiple streams of income. They just threw that in our face. Yeah. And then you get on set at the movies and people are in between scenes and, you know, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Talking about the other businesses.
So for anyone that is, you know, for anyone that's wanting to really jump into the acting space, right? What would be kind of like a sense of direction or like the first step that one should take? Like, because I know your story was a bit different, right? It started off with special effects makeup, and you know, you kind of worked your way through it. You got exposed to the environment, the networking, etc. But let's say someone that didn't start off with a talent like that and just wants to jump into, you know, becoming an actor. What would that first step look like for them?
Well, I still say the same. It doesn't have to be special effects makeup, but what do you bring to the table? What can you do to get yourself in the environment? Okay, when we do a movie premiere, they always have the assistants, people that assist that make sure that everything goes smoothly, that, you know, people are to the red carpet on time, or that people are seated correctly, or that people are not being bothered. If it's a celebrity in the room, they're not being bothered, you know. And they always try to choose actors or upcoming actors and actresses that just want to be in the space to come to be a part of the movie premiere. And in that case, that's the moment for that individual to bring something to the table outside of just acting. Because remember, I said people want to work with people that they like.
Yep.
And that they want to be around. How
do you find that, like, that first step? Would it be, you know, figure out online some places where I could just be an extra? Would it? Yeah. Is that kind of like the first step?
So that's part of it.
Is that like the easiest first step? I think.
So you got to number one, you got to have a reel. You got to make a reel, which I didn't have coming into it. I just had, like I said, I took a different way in, but I had a lot of acting experience. So a reel is going to be like, it's going to be a compilation of different projects that you've worked on, showing your different acting
like
styles.
Portfolio.
Yeah, basically a portfolio.
That makes sense.
So you want to have that, but you can't get that unless you go have the experience.
Yeah.
And this is what I found out. I didn't know this because I have a passion for performing. I have a passion for doing what I do. A lot more people want the red carpet experience, but don't want the red carpet sacrifices. And the red carpet sacrifices are you being an extra sometimes.
Yep.
You doing things like that. I'm living in Nashville. I'm all the way here in Atlanta. I came here to be here for a week as an extra. I want to get into the Atlanta market.
Okay.
My bank account agreed because they are paying me well to be an extra. And they're paying me more than I have, I was saving for some speaking roles that I've had.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Let's put pride aside. Bank account says yes.
Yeah, no,
and let's go down here and let's do what we have to do.
Absolutely.
And I don't mind that. I'll have a speaking role in another film. And
let's say I want to become an actor, and I want to become like, you know, all right. So I want to become an actor. First step that I'm thinking is, all right, I want to, you know, just be an extra, even if it's 1 second. Where do I find? Like, is there somewhere online?
Yes.
Or, like,
so
where online can I find this?
So here in Atlanta, there's like an Atlanta Actors Network. I think that's what it's called.
Okay. Atlanta.
On Facebook.
Okay.
So there's several groups and people, which is how I ended up here. Even though I live in Nashville, nice. It was close enough that another actor told me about this page.
Okay.
And so that's how I ended up here. So we have them for Tennessee. We have national ones. And you just put your information, just look every single day. You look for who's posting opportunities. Mm-hmm. Some of them, they'll let you know that, you know, you're not going to get paid, but you will get credit for it.
Yep.
And sometimes it's good to do that because sometimes you need that experience. Mm-hmm. If you never had a camera in your face,
yep.
But all of a sudden you want to be at the top.
Yeah.
You know, that's
you got to take the appropriate steps.
And to know the environment, to know the environment of being
it ultimately gives you that confidence, you know?
Yeah.
It gives you that confidence, and to just kind of, when the light does shine on you, mm-hmm. you're ready and you know what to do. And no, that totally makes sense. I want to take another step back real quick. So I know you were in one of the movies you were a part of was Trap City, mm-hmm. and you said Young Jeezy was a part of that movie too. Mm-hmm. He was playing a role in that movie? Mm-hmm. Okay. Gotcha. And when does that movie come out?
I am not sure when that movie is still in post-production, so I'm not really sure when that movie comes out. Hopefully this year.
All right.
Hopefully this year.
And how was it shooting Trap City?
Oh, it was the first time around. it was fairly smooth. The second time around, snow. like you won't see it anywhere in the movie.
Dang, yeah.
But snow. I remember one day we were shooting and. Just to show you how crazy Tennessee goes. Like, I walked outside and there's a snake slithering across the ground. Mm-hmm. And then a few hours later, there's snow. Mm. So we went from spring creatures to snow, and we had about 2 feet.
Man,
all on the same day. And we had to get back from Nashville back to Murfreesboro. And that was crazy. But the people were wonderful. So, and then working with Jeezy was a lot of fun too.
Yeah. Gotcha. Was that his first movie? I didn't even know he was doing movies.
Well, I know that he was working towards getting into the industry.
Kind of like transitioning from the music side and then just jumping into like the movie side.
Or just adding it on to his, you know.
And it's organic too for him as well. Always been in front of the camera, a creator, an artist at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And so that's definitely a natural transition. Does that specific movie revolve around him?
Oh, no. It's like several different parts. There's several.
Because I saw one of the trailers, quick mm-hmm. trailers, but I didn't get the best grip of the entire movie off of that trailer.
Right. So basically, what the story boils down to is a young man that is extremely talented, mm-hmm. and he is discovered by some means that were not his own. Yep. And he has to make a decision as to whether he's going to continue down the path that he's been in life, yep. or whether he's going to take this opportunity to do something better and greater with his life.
That makes sense.
And so it's like, you know, are you in a trap? You know?
Man, I definitely want to check it out when it comes out. And how long are usually movies in kind of post-production?
It can depend.
That one's been in there for a while, right?
That one's been in post-production for a while. What's interesting is this is a cultural thing. Minus, I think, 1-2 movies that I've done. I've always worked with people that were from the Bollywood industry as well, over in India.
Gotcha.
And they were telling me in India that it always takes 2 years for post-production.
Yeah.
And they are a part of what we are doing.
Okay. Gotcha.
So.
But when it does come out, though, it's it'll be solid, you know?
Yeah.
some of the best things take time. So I don't know, it makes total sense. I was just kind of curious because I was like, I know it's been some time, and I know coming from your role or anyone else's role in the movie, they want the movie to come out.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Oh, yeah.
You want the movie to come out. Like, when is it coming out?
Oh, yeah.
So no, that makes total sense. So now we're like, we talk about the early part of your journey, right? Mm-hmm. Of as a kid, circus, getting influenced by that, and kind of playground, just, imagination is everything at a young age. And imagination is something that is extremely important no matter what age you are. Okay. But it's like the imagination starts to fade away as we go through life, right? But I feel like spaces like the acting space or music or dance, etc., our imagination starts to slowly creep back. Yeah. And that's what makes things so beautiful, and that's what it essentially creates amazing experiences, and allows one to come up with an idea that might sound silly or crazy, but when it's all put together, it's like, wow, that was truly inspiring. Like, that was a dope movie, that was a dope song, that dance was dope. And so imagination is everything. And I'm pretty sure that, a lot of actors too, obviously they want to be an actor, but what I hear from a lot of actors too is they eventually want to write their own movie. Oh, yeah. So it's like that imagination, it doesn't just stop at, I want to get a few lines, or like I want to be the main character. Then it's like, I want to direct an entire movie of this vision that I've always had. And so I wanted to touch up on two things. Mm-hmm. First thing is, right now, what are you focused on? And then, if you even have an answer to this one, because we can't really predict the future, but what the next steps look like for you, ideally, like what that I don't want to say end goal, but what the next stage is in the acting side. So right now, and then the next stage.
I feel like right now, this is my training ground. I will become that person that creates. I will become that person that directs.
So that is something you want to do.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. But I've learned a few things from that. I've learned, like, even if you are that person, you need to have, like, I would want to create some content that I could put myself in as well. But I need to have a solid director. I need somebody that's looking through the camera. Yeah, that's saying, hey, Marcus, you need to change this up or change that up, or this is not good. Or this didn't quite come across. Like, this is what you wrote in the script. I'm not seeing that through the camera. Yeah. I need somebody that can do that has that eye. Of course, at the end of the day, like, if it's not my scene, I can still help, direct, and I'll still need that person, that extra set of eyes. The other thing is, I've learned too, if you are the best chef in the world and you cook amazing food and you put your restaurant all the way out in the middle of the woods and nobody knows that you exist, you are the best kept secret. Likewise, when it comes to performing, you can make the best movie in the world. But if you didn't make a good marketing strategy, who's going to know? There are crappy movies that are out there, horrible movies, who had awesome marketing teams, who knew how to market that movie, make it look good, make people interested in.
They artificially created traction.
Yeah.
They created this artificial traction that, like, whoa, let's check out. Even though the viewer at the end of it might be like, wow, that was, like, terrible. Right. But they still watched the whole thing. Right. It picked up a few parts of it. Exactly. So, like you said, the execution is more important in that case. Right. Than that product itself. But in reality, in actuality, the goal is amazing product, amazing execution. Right. Because that is what keeps longevity, right? Because if you look at some of the Disney movies, right? We're talking about, like, what, 100 years? They're still out here. 50 years, still out here. And so I feel like when you couple those two together, it's kind of like the recipe of creating something that's just not here today and gone tomorrow. It's like, it's here today and here, like, forever. And I feel like that quality is what ultimately matters. And a lot of people, they get a little, they rush into things a little bit. They want to quickly, they want to very quickly just put things out to show others that they're working on something, or just put it out to the world, even if it's not 100% ready. And I feel like it's patience is like key for that. Having patience to really craft something up together and that you're proud of, and like you said, do the marketing on top and execute. So, but those two factors I think are extremely important.
Yeah. So those will be my steps. And of course, coming to Atlanta, this will be an experience as well.
Yep.
I shot in Atlanta once, but we were doing stuff for Jeezy. I only did the special effects makeup for the pieces that we did here in Atlanta.
Okay.
But yeah, learning a lot of the behind the scenes type stuff is really, and in a weird kind of way, though I wanted to shoot to the top.
Yeah.
The real blessing is that I actually started behind the scenes, because I feel like a lot of times actors and actresses will show up on set and everything's just roses for them, and they have no idea the chaos that's going on behind the scenes to make it look so smooth by the time that they get there. And if you ever want to be in charge of something and control something, you got to know that stress and what to expect. Gotcha. And what to put behind it. Even things like diet. Even things like that, small things I didn't think of. You hired so-and-so because they had a certain physique, a certain look that you wanted. So you got to make sure that you have certain foods so they can maintain the look that you hired them for.
Yeah. That makes total sense. And going back to my question, it was like the now and then like the next stage. So it seems like the now is continue doing what you're doing, taking up all these roles to get more exposure, experience in different states, different areas, different categories in the music and in the movie industry. And then the next stage obviously would be creating your own movie, but to get to that point, you'd want to like get together a team, right? Eventually get a team together to where you could hire the best skills to be able to focus on those specific crafts and create that end product. So does that kind of sum up what you say?
Yeah. And that goes back to the whole working with people that you trust. So I got hired to be a part of another film, and the guy was.
How does that feel? Like, does someone reach out to you, or are you also reaching out to people? And when is it like when it comes in, let's say someone that gets like a job offer, they're excited, or they get accepted somewhere to college. When you're like, hey Marcus, like you're selected, how does that feel? It's like
it feels good. It feels good, It feels like, you had other options, and somehow I made it, and it feels really good. Definitely. And what I was able to do with this, in this case, it was cool because I was basically playing my great grandfather. They didn't know that, but the role that they gave me, that's what I was doing. And it was kind of crazy that I was playing that role. So I was like, hey, I said, I get to make all the jewelry. I said, because they were going to give me like some plastic fake stuff. I was like, I said, let me make it. So I made all my jewelry, kind of kept it a little traditional. And brought that on the set. So I had like, pieces of...
So you made all this jewelry that you're wearing right now too?
The ring was a gift, but all of the jewelry that I have on, yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
How long have you been doing that?
Oh gosh, since I was 16.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I've had, this is not probably how you do it, but I have these little sets ones. You get like the little rubber, like clear plastic, and then you could add the different...
Oh.
My friend had that. He used to make me a couple of those, and I would wear it. Because I would always enjoy, like, I'd rather wear something that I know someone that made it than just, like, purchase something from the store, from a brand that I've, don't really know. And that's pretty dope. So since 16?
Yeah, since 16.
Cool.
Yeah.
So just necklaces, bracelets, primarily?
Oh, necklaces, bracelets, chokers. I almost wore it today, but I just started getting into your higher end stones. So I almost wore it, but I just did my first. It's a 20.3 carat African ruby piece. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Almost wore it.
Almost wore it.
What happened? You were like,
Because I was like, this blings a little bit. So it's like, I'll wear this.
That's funny. That's pretty cool. I'll let you go back to that. So You were playing that role of your...
Yeah, I was playing that role, but what was unique was that, like I said, people can have as much experience as they want, but they're always missing something. They still need you in some sort of way. Mm-hmm. So I went back to the teams that I had worked with in filming mm-hmm. in previous movies, which, you know, has kind of become like a little family.
Yep.
And I told the new director, I said, hey, there's this team that I have access to. Yeah. So he was like, okay, get them on the phone. He said, and the other guy was like, tell them I'm not cheap. This is my price. And he was like, no worries. That's it. And the rest is history. Mm-hmm. So even from that standpoint, in that case, you know, you could be somebody that's higher up. You're the director. You're the writer, blah, 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 yep. blah. Everybody wants to work with you. But in this case, how you treat people below you matters, because I was the lower person and yet opened the door for him to go make money. Mm. So it really is a give and take.
Everyone's helping each other out to just kind of get to the top of whatever the top is for one. Everyone's top is different, so.
Right. And I feel like some people get that, just being honest, and I feel like some people don't. Mm. And sometimes I'm just like, I don't care how famous you are, you do realize that without the lighting person, without the hair person, without the makeup person, without the person who wrote the script, without the director who told you that you look bad.
Or good.
Yeah. You know, or, you know, made you look good if you didn't look good.
Without all those components,
you wouldn't be who you are.
Nope.
So it's like you always have to show some level of respect.
100%.
No matter what your role is.
100%. And everyone matters, even outside of all those roles. That place that they're working at. Right. The person that's doing the cleaning.
Exactly.
You know? Exactly. Everyone is of value.
Yeah, no
matter what it is.
Cleaning lady was a nobody until COVID came. I was like, oh, ma'am.
Yeah. Man, that's pretty cool. So I guess, you know, it's been really interesting kind of hearing your journey, and I've always been interested in just the acting space journeys, like how they kind of start off. It always starts off as like in a very young age, the imagination part, kind of like believing in yourself and just carrying that throughout your entire career. And it seems like you got a lot of stuff lined up, not only right now, but things that you want to do in the future. And if there were some things just for like the audience that's listening, mm-hmm. that you wanted to kind of let them know that like truly kind of held you down and helped you throughout this whole process and everything.
Sure.
What would be some things that you want to share off of that?
Number one, I would say that the life of an actor, people typically want to get into the life of an actor because the life of the rich and the famous is a non-traditional life.
Yep.
And people have to understand that if you want a non-traditional life, you have to have some non-traditional mentality mm-hmm. and do some non-traditional things. Yep. So what does my day look like? Let me go down my list. I went from being a full-time teacher to here is the list of things that I do. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I coach gymnastics. I'm a former gymnast. Still do gymnastics, just not as much as I used to. But I coach gymnastics and I teach Spanish and art and gym class for like 3.5 hours each day to some little kids. In the Franklin area, everybody's an entertainer. Everybody's related to somebody in entertainment. Mm. So whenever I can't be there, I just let them know. It's not a big deal.
Mm. It's a norm.
Which is normal. Yeah, because it's the norm. Our waiters and waitresses, they're all singers, songwriters. Everybody's in the industry. It's just kind of understood. It's the culture of where we live. I left all of my traditional jobs to do contract work. So I party plan. That means if I have an event, a movie to shoot, and I cannot post this party or this event, I can say so. The lady that owns one of the companies that I work for doing that, she's based out of Atlanta. I live in Nashville. Yeah. I also do my own individual party planning as well. I make jewelry. Once again, I can make jewelry when my schedule permits. If I can't, I can. If I can, I can. Everything that I switched to was contract work, where I could say some people do substitute teaching because it's the same thing. Yeah. So really think about what sacrifices you need to make, have to make, in order to do that. So that's one thing, because the worst thing is, like, I have people all the time hit me up all the time. put me in one of your movies, get me on. And then I'm like, okay, we need some extras. Can you be here at this time, at this place? Oh man, I gotta work. Nah, man, see, I would, but
always go after those little opportunities.
Yeah, but they don't take, and I don't tell them necessarily who's going to be in the room. In fact, I offered so many opportunities to people, and I didn't tell them that Jeezy was going to be there. After it came out that Jeezy was there, I got cussed out 5 times. like, you didn't tell me Young Jeezy was going to be there. I would have done it. I said, what did it matter? You told me you wanted to act. This was a movie.
Definitely.
So be willing to do those little things, and then realize your space and realize your role. And here's what I mean by that. Like, I went to this networking event one time for actors and actresses, and there was this girl, and she was just like, I'm just and like here with my friends, and they run this country music stuff, and I really don't even like country music, and I am a part of a women's association in entertainment. She was just going on and on and on, like she was this huge celebrity. And what she doesn't realize is everybody that was in that room know the same people she was talking about. So it was just like know like your role and who you are, and it's okay to say, I'm an actor. And I also Uber. I'm an actor. And I also clean apartments. Whatever it is that you do.
Okay, I see what you
whatever it is that you do, because people need to know the reality of the acting world is that sometimes it's feast or famine. And so you may be walking the red carpet on Friday night and cleaning the bathroom on Monday morning until you get to wherever it is that you're going. So, and it's okay. That's a part of the journey. You know, even if you have degrees, I have 3 degrees. And most of what I do, in fact, everything that I do, none of it requires a degree at all.
Yeah. Solid. I totally understand that. It's, man, it seems like those are components that meant a lot to you and what kind of helped you kind of succeed in what you saw around you. And that's cool, man. I really appreciate it. I wanted to jump into one more quick topic, and we kind of spoke about this before. Yeah, one more thing I was gonna kind of mention is I wanted to kind of hear like your backstory of, you know, having vitiligo, but also like in the acting space, like being in front of the camera, and how that was for you. I know we kind of briefly chatted about it before on the phone call. I'd love to just kind of hear like that part of it as well.
Sure. So first off, I like to tell everybody, I don't ever tell anybody up front that I have vitiligo. What I tell people is that I'm biracial and I have a very rare skin condition where the colors didn't mix. And they always try to look at me and they try to figure it out.
I love it.
Or with my little kids, I tell them, oh, I'm just like a chameleon. I said I change colors. But that's backfired on me recently because they're trying to ask me, okay, so if you touch something, you change to that
they got
color,
you.
you turn purple?
They got you on that one.
I'm like, not today.
Yeah.
So, but the backstory on that is I wasn't born like this. It happened when I was about 21. And I was dating a girl that was shorter than me. So she literally looked up to me. And and she's like, what's that on your neck? And I was like, what are you talking about? And I went in and I saw this pink stuff and it wouldn't come off. And I ended up finding out that it was vitiligo. Well, at the time, I was acting for my school. Like, I was brought there as an actor for my college. And I was just like, oh, this is going to be wonderful. So when I finally learned, like, what it really was, like, I went to depression for 3 days. And because I felt like I had to either quit what I was doing or decide, do I continue going on? And I felt like I can't be anything but me, but how do I be me in a space that was not meant for people like me? And I didn't know what to do. Fast forward, now what's crazy is, of course, we have Winnie Harlow, who's out there, who's a model, Victoria's Secret model, and she's just really opening the road for all of us. there are models down in Brazil that have vitiligo that are killing it. I mean, like, that's killing it. They're doing amazing. And I keep in touch with all of them. Yeah. So
that's great.
And then I was on set for one of the movies that I was doing. I was not featured in that movie. I was just working behind the scenes, trying to stay in the loop. And this actress who's from Atlanta, she told me, she said, you need to keep your look. She said, because that's what's going to serve you one day. She said you're unique, you're different, this, that, and the other. So she said, you need to keep it. So I went from trying to figure out the cure, because there are cures for it, like primarily in Cuba, in a few other countries in Latin America, where you can get it pretty much cured. But then I was just like, okay, do I want to, or do I need to just go ahead and maintain this look, or where do I go with this? So being a special effects makeup artist, what I do is I give people the option. I said I can change myself and make myself all the way one color. I said, or if you want something unique or out of the box, or something that people will talk about, then I can go with this look. And so I always give them the option. In Trap City, I did both and played different characters. So that can kind of work. So we just made my paycheck go up. So yeah. So you can kind of work that around there. Either way, I never thought that I would be a model. I think I told you before, like until 2 weeks ago, I was always worried about, oh gosh, if I get married one day, how am I gonna look at my wedding pictures? I got all these skin colors going on. That's gonna be so weird. And then people started asking me, was I a model? And I was like, well, people are asking me, then maybe I could do it. So I started doing some photos. Started putting them out there. Was this close? Like I was in the top. I was talking about going from 0 to 100. This happened just about 2 months ago. I was in the top selection of models to represent a company out in California, and everybody, the agency, thought that I was the model that they were going to use. And then they found out the last minute there was some sort of qualifications that they wanted for something. I don't know what it was. But I was going to make more money as a model than I have ever made as an actor in an industry that I've really had no work in. All the photos that I've submitted, minus a few, were from the iPhone. You know, like, like going to Tennessee waterfalls, but it was something unique, something different that they wanted. So I'm learning to embrace it, to balance it, to kind of like figure it out. I will tell you, like, it's always still kind of awkward. Yep. You never really know. You submit your pictures, and some directors are able to, if you say I can cover myself up, make myself one color, they can see that. They have enough vision. Other people are like, if you don't have the exact look of what I'm looking for at that exact moment, you're not it. And then some will change. The benefit of it, though, is if you do get screen time, everybody remembers you. Yeah. Everybody remembers you. I did a training video for the state of Tennessee over 10 years ago. And I still get people that say, you're that dude from the training video. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And it happens in Walmart only.
Definitely. No, I mean, I had to ask, because I know you and I chatted about it. I'd love for the audience just to hear like that part of the story as well, because it's a part of your journey, truly, and it's inspirational, to be honest. You know, kind of like how you said, like and we spoke about this as well on the phone. Is like your look is always changing somewhat, you know, and being able to adapt to that and like truly have that strong confidence, especially because you're in front of the camera, you know, and one tends to care more about their image when they're on camera than they otherwise typically do. And now, man, I think it's I love kind of hearing all your parts of your journey. I feel like we could have a whole another episode just on that entire topic, and we will. Absolutely. And so that's all great stuff. And no, really appreciate you joining, man, on the Share the Journey podcast, where we truly try to showcase what it takes to reach any goal that one desires in one's life. And the goal here that we chatted about is, you know, becoming an actor and what it actually takes and the whole process through it, and even also where you want to end up next with it. And it's not, you haven't just made it just yet. You know, you still have more that you want to reach with it. And it's super exciting to see. And I think you're going to possibly look back at this video and be like, man, that was like that version of me. And like now I got here. And it's kind of like this continuous process. And, you know, they say it's all about the journey. And here's a little bit of it. So, Marcos, appreciate you, man. It was great. Papa. Yeah. Thank you, man.
Thank you.